So we've got basically a working prototype now with processor, graphics card, options for the RAM. We can put the different number of modules in the RAM, and now we can add VAT. We need a final button that adds everything up. Now, none of the maths is going to work in this. None of the additions and labels are going to update because we haven't written any functions yet. But as an interface, we now have something that we can demonstrate could work. But we will spend a bit of time setting this up, getting it to work properly, if indeed you want to do that. Okay, so the last thing we need is a button that when we press just adds everything up, gives us a total price. We can tick that VAT option there and it'll just add VAT onto that. So what we're basically looking for here is like a grand total, everything added up together with the optional addition of VAT. Okay, so I'm just gonna, as I've done all the way through, leave myself a little bit of a comment so I know what is going on. Now this is just a button for the total price, so it seems to make sense to call it button total price. Okay, and this is the same as we've done all of the buttons. The first one we did earlier on, remember to open the login screen. So it's tk.button, add it to the window. Okay, we want some writing on this button because we want it to say, you know, that it gives us a final price or it calculates or something like that. Okay, so we could just write calculate, or we could put final price, or we could put total or something, you know, like that. Okay, total price. Whatever you think's an appropriate name for this button. The only other thing we need to think about with buttons is the width. So how wide do we want this button? So I can't remember what I did my very first button at the top. So let's quickly go have a look. Oh, I didn't define a width on that one. Okay. Okay, so we'll see what this looks like. I might go back and make the other one the same width just to, you know, make sure it looks the same. Okay, and then that's it for the button, unless you want to change the font or the color or anything like that. And then the last thing we need to do is obviously put it on the grid. We want total price grid. Okay, and we want this to be the last thing on the form so that it's right at the bottom so they can just see it at the end of everything so they know it's like the last thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to stick it in column 1. Or in theory, I mean, I could, I suppose, have it at the bottom of column 2 so it's underneath all the prices, but I'm going to put it in column 1, see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I can always move it. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of padding just to move it down a little bit, and then maybe a little bit of padding on the other side as well. Okay, so we can see what this looks like now. Okay, so it's a bit odd. I mean, I might just need to do the sticky just to put it over to the left. But at the moment, in theory, if I press this button, it will enable us to, you know, to do something similar to this button over here. Okay, so I might make this 12 as well, just to tidy it up just a little bit. So if I go back to the very, very first button I did, and this is where your comments come in really handy, because here's my button. Now I used a TTK button for this one. Let's just make that width equals 12 as well, just so it's the same as the other one. So you can see the difference between the two libraries here. This is the TTK button. It's quite flat, a bit more modern looking than this button here. So if we whip down to the bottom, we could use a TTK button for this one as well. Okay, now they look similar. Okay, and then the last thing is just to add the sticky so that it looks like it's in the right place. Now I could just have it span the column like that, so it's a nice big total button. You can't really miss that. It's up to you. You know, you can make your choice as to whether you want it to span the whole thing or have it in the middle, or have it sticky west as we've done before with some of the others, so it lines it up with this left hand side column just here. It's a bit sticking in, just like the VAT. There's a bit of a margin there, and that's just because of this padding here. So if we take that pad X out just there, and take that pad X out just there. Okay, they all line up now in a nice line down the left hand side. So that's it for the interface, for the prototype interface. Now comes the tricky part, which is defining the functions, getting the buttons to work, and making the whole thing add up when we choose the relevant number of modules and RAM options and graphics cards and processors, etc. Okay.